Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the MSME entrepreneur. Today on the show, on the influencers, two conversations. First up, I will bring you an interview with Coverfox, and later on in the show, an interview with the Estonian ambassador. The insurance industry in India is expected to reach $280 billion. That's by the year 2020. And while most Indians are still buying insurance offline, the potential to do so online is enormous and is definitely changing. That's what Coverfox had to say to us in this interview, talking about how more Indians are looking at options online and what you, the MSME entrepreneur, can keep in mind about this industry. Take a listen. Thank you very much for being with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Let me start by talking to why Coverfox, why the name Coverfox?
It's a very interesting story. You know, if you look at the synonyms of the word insurance, right, and then the name that comes to your mind is either Bima or insurance or policy, and we thought all of that was very old school.
Very legacy.
Yeah, very legacy, and that's not what we were trying to build. We were trying to build an insurtech platform. So we picked up the word cover, and we just wanted a very interesting name to go with it, and we checked for dog and cat and everything. The only animal available was fox. So we just said Coverfox.
Interesting. So you, of course, are in the insurance, in the online insurance space. Very briefly, for the sake of our viewers, just give us an overview of your business model.
Sure. So we are India's largest insurtech platform, right? We believe that the best way to distribute insurance to the end user is by use of technology, and that's why we started Coverfox way back in 2014. Currently, we are a full-stack insurance platform. We operate in categories like two-wheeler, four-wheeler, life insurance, health insurance, and travel. And the idea is that maybe 20 years down the line, we want to this is going to be the insurance app. You know, our Coverfox is going to be an insurance app wherein you will find everything, right from trying to insure your cattle to your aeroplane. Everything can be done on one portal.
Okay, so you're saying cattle, very interesting, and I want to basically extend that to talk about how Indians buy insurance. For a business model like yours, which is buying insurance online, one would presume that your target base is tier 1, is not looking at, say for someone who's in a tier 3, tier 4, looking to insure his or her land, his or her, livestock.
Sure.
How do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, I think you should just look at it in the context of where India is right now. So 50 years back, there was no internet. The only option to buy insurance was through people, through insurance agents. It cut back to like 10 years back, and everybody is transacting online. So 2007, 8, 10 kind of a thing. Most of the people have email IDs, have data plans on their phones, and the number is growing by leaps and bounds, right? So technology, smartphones, internet, data prices crashing, all the macroeconomic parameters put together indicate that directionally India is going to be buying everything digitally. So that's like the first thing.
That's true not just of India but also of Bharat.
Correct. So I think it's the 70% of Indian population is non-metro in all sense, right? And if we look at data in terms of video consumption, right? The video consumption, data consumption is 3 to 4x more times than you would typically look at an urban audience. So the only difference between India and Bharat is India is searching insurance and buying insurance at this point of time. Bharat is searching insurance but still buying offline. I think it's just a matter of time, when Bharat turns to India.
Okay, and you're doing both the online and the offline model.
Yeah, so we are principally a B2C platform. Along with that, we have an app for sellers, the offline agents, and that is largely just because we felt the need to help the offline agents leverage technology to do their business. But our core still remains to do a B2C platform.
Okay. So as far as changes to regulation are concerned, you're seeing pace, at least pace of regulation, and you're also saying that you definitely want to see some changes in FDI. For our viewers, if there are 2 or 3 things that from your own learnings that you can talk about as far as this space goes, what would you have to say? So
first thing is we should be very clear about what we are trying to build, right? And everybody has a different way to approach the same problem. So pick your way for sure, just like we did. See, when we started, there were other call center driven models available in India. People had thousands of people on the call center trying to sell insurance, and that was the easier way to do it, right? I hired people in India and put up a call center, but we decided saying no, we'll go the harder way, we'll solve it through technology, right? Because the whole idea was, if an end user still has to talk to a call center executive to buy insurance, right? We have lost it. So that's one thing that we didn't want to do. And two is, I think it's a startup in India is an extremely patience game. If you're building a company to to in 2 to 3 years, you're in the wrong business. You have to think 20, 30, 40 years. You have to be extremely patient. Thirdly, I would say, I mean, when you're hiring people, right, don't hire for skill sets, hire for attitude, hire for passionate people, because that's a very rare trait. A passionate guy will learn and help the business grow. A skillful, lazy guy is of no use.
Speaking of startups, this is not your first venture. So, just run us through perhaps what your previous venture was about and the biggest learnings that you had there.
It's kind of funny. It's like I've done little more than 2 startups, maybe 2.5. So when I left my job along with my partner, we wanted to create a social network for school children. Is that one we started with, and we did make a product and launch it and shut it in 6 months because didn't believe we could scale that business. Then we started a baby e-commerce portal called A to Z Baby. We put all the money that we had in our bank account, every penny, and we started working out of a small coffee shop. Did really well. We were probably the fastest growing player in that category in the first 1 year. But some of the mistakes we made, if you ask me, one is we were inexperienced into capital raising. E-commerce in India is a very expensive proposition. It's a very long game to do. Sure. And so when there was capital available, we denied it. We said, no, we don't need capital to run it. And then when we reached out to VCs to get capital, it was too late for us. There was no capital left. And so after a little more than 2 years, we decided to shut that business. Okay. So, yeah, that's a great experience. I think it's better than doing an MBA for sure.
Real life experience. So my question to you basically is, most experts who come on the show, and when we ask them for their advice for our viewers, the one thing they say is try and look at bootstrapping, at least for the first year. But you are saying that if you could do things differently and all over again, you would definitely do it differently. So I want to understand if in your mind there is a specific time frame that you think is ideal when you're looking at fundraising?
See, I think the worst reason for a startup to die can be lack of capital, right? Because entrepreneurship is it's an individual driven thing to begin with, and then you attract people going forward, and you have a vision, you want to change the world, you want to do things, right? So there are so many things to focus on. As an entrepreneur, the least you focus on money in the bank is good for the that better it is for the business. So my view is my one-man view is that you should raise capital whenever it's available and at whatever valuations to begin with, right? And then focus on building the business, right? And as the business scales and valuation, money, everything will be taken care of on its own.
Okay, but it's very important also then to understand whom you're approaching to ensure that yes, you're bringing in money, but you're bringing it in from the right people. Yeah,
I mean definitely, and that's a very valid point. The important thing is whom are you raising capital from? This is risk capital, right? The probability of losing this money is much higher than this money multiplying. So that's why I think you should only pick quality investors who understand the risk and return maths here, and not from people who just giving money out of love. I think that is maybe it's not the best way to take money.
Okay. In one of your previous answers, you were talking about hiring and hiring right. So I want to talk really about training for the employees that you hire. Sure. So now that you're looking at both an online as well as some bit of an offline business, how are you training them?
See, first of all, I think the training begins from the first interview or hiring, right? So every organization has its own context of hiring or kind of people it needs. At our end, we need passionate people. The gentleman who wrote the first line of code at Coverfox heads marketing now, because he learned on the job, and a guy who was serving tea to us a couple of months back is sitting in a back office, because he learned on the job. So we like those kind of people. See, in terms of training, what we do is we give people aggressive job roles, and the first thing we ask people is what do you want to do, and irrespective of what the background the person comes from. If somebody who's done arts and wants to do finance, and we'll say, okay, are you sure you want to do it? And if he has enough zeal to do it, we'll say, okay, go ahead and do it. So take the plunge. So most of the people learn on the job. We help them wherever we can, but the whole idea is to fail fast. and then quickly learn, right?
Okay.
If you have the right attitude, you will never lose out on that.
Okay. My bigger question was specifically for the insurance industry, because this is an industry where every couple of months you have new terms, you have new policies, etc., that are being released in the market. How do you ensure that your employees are staying abreast of that? So reskilling and upskilling in some sense. And use that to talk to our MSMEs who perhaps are saying, I could be interested in this, but it's a very expensive proposition to keep constantly reskilling.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So what we do is we have a couple of domain experts working with Coverfox, people from the industry. We are a part of a lot of so-called councils. So we go for a lot of insurer level meetings. We meet insurers on a daily basis. We are in touch with regulator all the time. We also take a lot of help in training from the ecosystem, from insurance companies, from other brokers, from professors, whoever is possible. You're right. The most important thing is to know what's happening, and so we currently don't have a very structured way of training in terms of we don't have academy inside, but that's something that we are planning for the next year.
To wrap this up, in excess of 22 million is what you've raised. What plans do you have? Just leave us with that.
The current capital, would be, so there are a couple of areas we want to invest going forward. We want to launch newer categories of insurance. We are creating a new product for health, and there are other products which needs to be launched for a period of time. So 1. 2, we are hiring a lot of engineers and product guys. Right? That's what, because we're a tech platform, we need lots of them to invest in the newest technology that we do. And thirdly is one area that we have been lacking over the years is brand. We haven't invested a lot in brand. Most of the traffic we're getting is organic, and people coming on the platform were through word of mouth or referral. So yeah, I think increasing portfolio, technology, hiring and branding are 3 areas in which we are going to invest.
Okay, wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for speaking with us here.
Pleasure, thank you so much.
It's time for a break. On the other side, I'm bringing you a conversation with the Estonian ambassador talking about the E-Residency program and how Indians can tap into that. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight a second The Influencers conversation, but this is a special conversation we're doing with the Estonian ambassador to India. Estonia launched an e-residency program in 2014, which allows citizens based anywhere in the world to behave as if they were based in Estonia. Some of the benefits of this e-residency program include being given government-issued digital IDs, the ability to set up accounts and bank accounts in Estonia, as well as to form and register companies in Estonia. The Estonian ambassador spoke to me about the special and specific benefits that they have when it comes to Indian entrepreneurs and how they can tap this route as well, particularly when it comes to selling to the rest of the EU. Take a listen. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, Ambassador Kruuv. It's a pleasure to be able to get a perspective on what's happening across the globe when it comes to small businesses. Let me kick today's interview off by talking about why perhaps small businesses in India, MSMEs, SMEs, entrepreneurs should be looking at Estonia.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you for inviting me to be part of this program and this interview. But Estonia, although it's a small country in Northern Europe, I think we are one of the most open economies in the world. And being a very small country, we are very dependent on international trade, meaning that our own companies are very much are in need of trading and investing in abroad. And most of our companies are very small anyway, according to international standards. So as we can do it from our country with the help of some of the technologies that we have developed over the period of time, we can offer the same opportunities to companies from other countries, for instance, India as well. We believe that the biggest potential for Indian companies, for instance, would be in technology. But it doesn't mean that this is the only area. I think we should not forget that Estonia is part of 500 million people EU market, which is extremely important. Estonia itself is not the market. We are only 1.3 million, which is 1,000 times smaller than India.
Okay, so speaking of technology, I understand that Estonia is one of the first governments across the world to become 100% e-governance led, which means that most of your projects are digitized. Maybe you can talk to us about what that experience has been like, what perhaps Indians who are watching the show, our viewers who are watching the show can understand and learn in terms of also the opportunities there are.
Well, let me start with saying that we became independent 27 years ago, and being a small country without major natural resources, and then having well-developed Scandinavian neighbors around us, we've been always willing to catch up their development and the living standard that they have in Scandinavia. So we realized in early stage that we need to do something differently. We need to do something better. We need to do things faster. And obviously technology, ICT solutions were the first that we turned our faces at the time. Becoming digital, it is an objective in itself, giving enormous savings in our economy. It is estimated that we save maybe 2% of our GDP just because we do things in digital format.
Sure. Okay.
And every year we save paper which equals to the height of Eiffel Tower in Paris. But it is not only that. I think very important, particularly in the Indian context, is that you don't need to go to places to stand in line to get your everyday affairs done. You can do it over computers safely, securely, and it's good for the environment. You don't cause any traffic delays. You don't pollute. And think about how much time you save if you really multiply it with 1.3 billion. You understand that this is the biggest, actually, maybe the biggest gain.
Okay, but are there specific opportunities there in this e-governance program that private companies can look at tapping? In India, for instance, and I'm sure you're aware of the Aadhaar program, the world's largest such program, where you have private parties, private companies that are involved with the government to roll this out. Do you think there are such opportunities then as far as the e-governance projects in Estonia go?
Just to start with, maybe, I mean, the government has always been the driver behind building up digital society in Estonia and deciding early on to create this digital ID for every Estonian resident, actually. But all the work has been done, all the development has been done by private companies. So government it's never had enough resources to really maybe keep this most talented IT people on their payroll. But so they decided that, okay, we will let companies do the business, and we simply show the way and we partner with them.
Okay.
Right now we are very actively working also with Indian companies to see how Estonian companies and Indian companies can work together to use some of the technologies and knowledge that we have created in Estonia to put it into the benefit of your country and your people.
Okay, I also want to talk about the E-Residency program. You're talking about the digital ID, but I understand that you also have an E-Residency program where you don't necessarily need to be living in Estonia, correct me if I'm wrong, to be able to then access this program. How does that work?
That's true. Already in year 2000, every Estonia resident received a digital ID card, which is 18 years ago. And since then we started developing all those digital solutions, and now we've come to the point where almost everything can be done in digital format. And then at a certain point we thought that, well, we have this platform in place, we have all those services in place, why do we keep it only to Estonians? So we developed this concept of E-Residency, which is about to give also foreigners an opportunity to become, to get digital identity from Estonian government and to start using all these digital services that are available to Estonian residents, also to give them an opportunity to take advantage to start the company, to sign documents digitally, and maybe and also become part of this digital society of the world.
Okay.
We've been able to create something very specific and innovative, which should sound attractive for a number of people. And indeed, even today, as we speak, we have more than 1,300 e-residents from India.
Okay.
In Indian context, this is not maybe
a lot of people.
Very big number. Mm-hmm. But if you think about that, all in all, we have about 34,000 e-residents now in the world, and there are 4,500 e-residents in Asia. Of these e-residents, maybe 1/3 is from India. It is quite remarkable, and e-residents have already established more than 5,000 companies in Estonia. Sure. And we see that as maybe the biggest advantage and actually the proof for sustainability of this program, to see how well it has served for businesses and international entrepreneurs.
Okay, fair enough. As I'm winding down this interview, I want to talk to you first and foremost about the fact that the government in India here, of course, is encouraging more and more entrepreneurs to make in India. So as they're making in India, how do you see collaboration between making here in India and perhaps being able to tap into markets like the EU and Estonia?
Obviously, every country is interested in attracting foreign direct investments to the country, and India does it, we do it, and all other countries do it as well. But when I speak to Estonian entrepreneurs, I always tell them about this Make in India program as well, because it is clear that some of the cost in India is much lower than we have in Northern Europe. So from macroeconomic perspective, from a country view, of course, we would like to export as much as we can, I mean, services and products made in Estonia or made in EU. But it is just business wise, it is so more profitable to bring some of the operations to India and use local manufacturers and talent. Sure. To develop a product for this market and maybe for the surrounding markets. So I think it's a good program, and I know at least a couple of companies that are already taking advantage of this.
All right. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right, that's our show tonight. If you have any thoughts about any of these interviews, or you have any questions for us, here's how you get in touch. Leaders of Tomorrow timesgroup.com is our email ID. Also get in touch with us on social media. Tweeted me personally. Sunanda_J is my Twitter handle. LOT_ET now is our official Twitter handle. You can also get in touch with us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.